And it's down the road we go. Happy Tuesday. It's the 11th day of June, 2019. Wake Up Wenatchee Valley has safely arrived on the airwaves, but just barely. I'm Dan Kuntz, your host. Thanks for starting your day with us here on the NCW Live channel. As you see behind my left shoulder, we're in for a beautiful day today, a little on the warm side, just plain hot. Wednesday and Thursday, record high temperatures possible today. Almost certainly we're going to break the record high temperature for Wednesday. Tomorrow, June 12th, could do it again on Thursday. Thursday, not only are we going to be dealing with some extremely warm temperatures, well, hot, we'll safely call it hot. It's also going to be windy. Just what we don't need this time of the year. And we haven't even gotten to summer yet. We're still a couple of weeks away from the summer solstice. That all-important weather forecast, we'll get into it real deep for you here. In just a couple of minutes, we'll preview the Wenatchee Apple Sox welcoming the Port Angeles Lefties into town for a 3-game series. Also, the Mariners are in Minnesota to take on the Twins. We'll do that when we get to sports. Also, we have the obscure holiday, of course, today in history, birthdays, and everyone is entitled to Mike Magnotti's opinion. And starting tomorrow, by the way, we got some brand new opinions for you coming from Mike. That gets us up to about 100 or so of Mike's opinions in the can. That's a lot of opinions. Well, Mike's an opinionated guy, and most of the time he knows what he's talking about. And in the back half of the hour, we're going to play the interview we did last week with Chuck Egner, who was part of the committee that puts together the Wenatchee River Bluegrass Festival every year, one of the biggest musical festivals, probably the biggest musical festival that at least comes to the valley every year. They've been doing it for 16 years. This is the 17th. It's this weekend at the fairgrounds in Kashmir. And bluegrass aficionados from all over the Pacific Northwest come and check out some of the great talent that they bring in. It's been a thriving organization. Some great talk with Chuck, and you'll see some videos of some of the acts that are going to be coming. The Wenatchee River Bluegrass Festival this weekend. My interview with Chuck Egner in the back half of the show. I'm ready. You're ready. Megan's ready. Let's go around the valley with our morning tour of North Central Washington. Once again, the cross camera gets to do the honors of batting lead off. By the way, a friend of mine spent the weekend up at Stehekin, and she remarked that didn't look like the Lake Chelan was all the way quite up there yet, and it isn't. I went and checked on the website. You can go to the Chelan County PUD website, and it tells you exactly how high Lake Chelan is, and Lake Chelan isn't quite all. It's about 2 feet below its normal height, so they're still spilling the water in there, getting Lake Chelan up for the summertime level. There's the Columbia River. They don't really get to control that a great deal. It's still running high and cold. Beautiful day today. If you have outdoor plans, do it now because it's going to get warm and then really warm. We're going to have overnight lows in the 70s this week. Wait till you see the forecast graphic. You're going to go, wow. Even though we're used to the heat, it's just making a quick appearance. Camera 2, where are we off to, Megan? We're off to see our friends in Monitor, Washington, USA. Downtown Monitor, just out of your picture there, but you can see Kashmir, clear as a bell, and you can see the cherries hanging in there, and the apples and the peaches and the pears growing away. We hope we have a really good agricultural season. You can see we still have snow way up in the very top of the Cascades. Gorgeous view looking out towards the Kashmir area. Camera number 3. Let's pay a visit to, wow, is that Badger Mountain? Wow, Badger Mountain. Good to see you, Badger. Been a long time. What a view that is. That's just incredible. That's where our ICR is located, what we call our intercity relay. So when we do live broadcasts, we shoot it up to that location, and then it shoots right back down to our studio. And that's how, for instance, the Wenatchee High School graduation on Friday night, we used our ICR technology to get that to you live. And by the way, we're going to be playing back both the Eastmont and Wenatchee graduations, in addition to west side of Wenatchee Valley College throughout the month of June. Beautiful there, and look at the waving wheat, which, by the way, can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. With apologies to Rogers and Hammerstein. Where are we off for camera 4? There, Megan. We're going to pay a visit to Lake Wenatchee. Beautiful view. Our Two Rivers camera way up. Super tall tower there. It's about 200 feet in the air. It's at the very top of Lake Wenatchee looking down over the lake. Beautiful day up there, and probably a little too warm for the mosquitoes. We like that. Nobody likes to get eaten by mosquitoes, and mosquitoes love Lake Wenatchee. We love Lake Wenatchee. Dirty Face Mountain to your left. If we spun that camera around 180 degrees, you would see the White River Valley. Gorgeous view from up there. Good morning, Lake Wenatchee. A great place to visit when it gets hot, because it's always a little bit cooler up there And the lake can be rather bracing to swim in. Beautiful view there. Great stuff. All of these cameras, courtesy of Localtel's Sky-Fi high-speed wireless network. That means you can get super fast, high-speed internet to your cabin right up there at Lake Wenatchee, so long as you can see that tower from your cabin, and most people can. Or we have other towers all over the Lake Wenatchee area and all over the Columbia Basin and all over the Wenatchee Valley and north central Washington and up north. Just give Localtel a call. Say, I want fast internet, but I live in the boonies. Can you do it for me? More often than not, they can. Let's take a look at the weather forecast at 6 minutes after the hour. There you go. Wowee. So for the record, our record high for today, 93. That was set back on June 11th, 1986. So we could get to that. We're at 63 right now. Very summer-like temperatures all this week, even though we're not even into summer. Now, the record for tomorrow, June 12th, Wednesday, is 94 degrees. We may break that. Look at your Wednesday high temperatures tomorrow. Whew. That's downright warm. We'll be right around 96 or 97 on Wednesday as this ridge of high pressure begins to build up. That's your highs on Wednesdays. Take a look at where you live and make sure your air conditioning is working. Let's look at Thursday's high temperatures. Again, record high, very much in play here. The record high for June 13th, which is Thursday, was 95 degrees. We could get to 95 on Thursday. That's actually the forecast high, right around 94, 95. But the big story Thursday, the high pressure ridge is going to flatten out, and look at your wind gusts. That's what we don't need. As that upper ridge flattens a bit on Thursday, it's going to allow a weak shortwave energy to pass through the region, and that means wind. And we don't want wind. The worst thing we want is really hot temperatures and heavy wind gusts in the afternoon. So any kind of wildfire that gets started can really, really take off. So keep your fingers crossed. Luckily, there's no thunderstorms in the forecast because that's the number one way that Mother Nature gets these things going. So 92 near record high today. Almost certainly will break the record high on Wednesday. Thursday, a distinct possibility of breaking the record high, but we're also going to be dealing with the wind. And then we cool down a little bit, again, as this ridge of high pressure begins to flatten out a little bit on Thursday and Friday. It's also going to cool us down a little bit. But these are still, these temperatures are all well above normal. Yesterday's high was 86. Our normal high would be 77 degrees. So we're in for a long stretch of very warm temperatures. Friday night for the Wenatchee Valley College graduation ceremonies, the commencement. They leave off to fill to the Apple Bowl. Starts at 7 o'clock. It'll be about 89, 90 degrees when that starts, so be sure to hydrate yourself. Hydrate yourself, of course, if you're going to be out at all, especially in the afternoon hours. That is a look at your weather forecast from the National Weather Service at 8 minutes after the hour. Before we get to the news, which is 1 minute away, a special thanks to our friends at Confluence Health for hopping on board and sponsoring this program. Confluence Health, dedicated to providing safe, quality health care for everybody in north central Washington. It was a busy day around the newsroom yesterday. Your news is 1 minute away. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley this morning from Studio 1 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life Channel.
When the people you serve are your friends and family, you see the world a bit differently. You understand that your survival depends on the health and strength of your relationships. Your word is your reputation, and that doing the right thing is the only way of life that matters. At Confluence Health, we remain humble. Trust is a gift that is earned, a privilege, an honor. And we remain grateful for the trust you place in our hands.
When you call Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning, you get 35 years of experience and customer service in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's friendly staff strongly believe in repairing before replacing and service all major brands of HVAC units. Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning is your local, independent, trained comfort specialists, proudly serving all of North Central Washington. Call 884-6444 today.
We're back at 10 minutes after the hour, 63 degrees, lots of sunshine, highs in the lower 90s today, upper 90s on Wednesday and Thursday, slightly cooler for the weekend, and considerable winds expected on Thursday afternoon. Here's what's making headlines. An Ephrata man was booked into the Grant County Jail last night on suspicion of vehicular assault and felony hit and run. The State Patrol reports that 35-year-old Jose A. Rodriguez was driving an SUV westbound on State Route 282 about 10:45 last night. This is right near the Ephrata Airport, when his vehicle struck 45-year-old Sean M. McMorrin of Moses Lake. He was walking his dirt bike across the highway. Rodriguez then apparently fled the scene before he was located and arrested. McMorrin transported to Samaritan Hospital before being airlifted to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle. His condition is not known. The State Patrol reports that drugs or alcohol was a factor in this incident. Well, an arrest has been made in a felony hit-and-run case from last week. This happened near Desert Air, in which the driver ran off, leaving her critically injured passenger behind. 24-year-old Vivian E. Duarte of Desert Air surrendered to the Grant County Sheriff's Office on Saturday. The wreck happened last Thursday at Desert Air Drive and Oasis Place when a 2001 Ford Focus, being driven by Duarte, failed to negotiate a turn and rolled twice. The passenger, Miria Anaye, was ejected from the vehicle. She's in critical condition at Cadillac Medical Center in Richland. Alcohol is believed to have been a factor in that crash. Well, a pilot and two passengers in a pontoon plane avoided serious injury when the plane crashed outside of Moses Lake. This happened on Saturday morning. According to the Grant County Sheriff's Office, first responders were dispatched just after 11:30 a.m. Saturday morning for reports of a plane crash in the 3500 block of Wild Goose Road Northeast. Grant County Sheriff's Office Public Information Officer Kyle Foreman confirmed the pilot and two passengers were on board that plane before the crash. Well, and East Wenatchee, I should say, has received a $500,000 federal grant to clean up former orchard land for development of a new city park. The Environmental Protection Agency issued the grant through the nonprofit Trust for Public Lands. The trust purchased the 2-acre parcel in October for $401,000. It's located in the 400 block of 9th Street Northeast. The grant money is going to be used to clean up the old cherry orchard that was uprooted about 8 years ago. The money will also be used to develop a site management plan. The land will be developed as a park, which will be managed by the Eastmont Metropolitan Park District. Speaking of parks, construction work just about done in the East Wenatchee's brand new Gateway project. Our very own senior news correspondent Steve Hare filed this report.
The project was delayed last year after the initial construction bids came in over the city engineer's cost estimates. The revised costs are still $100,000 over that estimate, but Mayor Steve Lacy says it'll ultimately benefit the city as a social gathering spot and special events venue.
It's a natural amphitheater because it goes slopes down toward the river. And so we've taken advantage of that natural amphitheater to make some, I call them steps, for people to be able to sit. There's some seating, natural seating that will go there. So if we have an event that we might incorporate a group or something, small local group or something, then we can put them down there and have people in the area make use of that. But mostly it's just going to be a place for spillover for example, when we have our Wings and Wheels Festival, or better yet, our Classer Chassis. That's an area where there hasn't been a lot of room, but now people can kind of fill in that area. It'll be pavers and cultured concrete and things. But don't lose sight of the fact that the primary purpose of that is an aesthetic kind of a green space to see when you come into the city.
The Gateway project was built at a cost of about $516,000. Steve Hare, NCW Life News.
Thank you very much, Steve. Finally, this morning, some good news about that dog that was found shot last week on the side of the road in the Schoolchuck area is showing some improvement, although it is slow. The dog's now called Kane. Kane was shot 3 times in the head, neck, and shoulders. Don Davies, the executive director of the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society, said Kane made good progress over the weekend, but still has a long road to a full recovery. Thus far, the owner of the adult pit bull terrier mix and the person responsible for shooting it have not been located. The Wenatchee Valley Humane Society is raising money for Kane's medical expenses. There is a separate reward fund being generated for locating the shooter. Kane was given blood transfusions at Cascade Veterinary Clinic over the weekend and remains on pain medications. We will keep you in the loop on this story, and that's what making headlines at 1:15 the hour. You got a news tip for us? We'd love to hear from you. You can pick up the telephone and give us a call. You can drop us a line via our email address, news@ncwlife.com, news@ncwlife.com. You see it at the bottom of your screen there. That's all the ways you can get a hold of us. There are many of them. You can go to our website, contact us that way, ncwlife.com. You can pick up the telephone and give us a call. You can go to our Facebook page and drop us a line via the messenger. We have a Twitter handle. We have an address, although I don't know what it is. We're 201 South Chelan. There you go. We'd love to hear from you, our viewers, and don't forget the news. We'll come your way at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock tonight. What happened on this Tuesday? We put together a little package we like to call the news, the NCW Life Evening News with Grant Olson in the anchor chair. He also handles the weather forecast. And Eric Granstrom with sports, the news at 5, 6, and 10. You can also watch it on demand on our website at ncwlife.com. And by the way, our news stories, and our newscasts are archived. You can check them out anytime you want. You can go back and look at a newscast from last month if you so desire. We're going to take a break. When we come back, sports, the obscure holiday today, and history, birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. And my interview with Chuck Egner as we get ready for the 17th annual Wenatchee River Bluegrass Festival this weekend up in Kashmir. All that coming up between now and 8 o'clock. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley live this morning from Studio 10 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCW Life channel.
I found a doctor that I just really, really like, and his name is Nick Collins. I just like everything about him. He's very thorough, but he's not intrusive at all, so he goes ahead and checks out things that somebody else might just let it go. Just about everything about him.
Is search engine optimization right for my business? Maybe. Studies show the first and second search results get 50% of all the clicks. But you have to fight national chains to get there. If the user has to scroll down to find you, tough luck. You could hide a dead body on page 2 and the whole zombie apocalypse on page 3. Or you could spend less and get an ad in the Impact Big Print phone book, giving local businesses a chance to shine.
Impact Directories. Bigger print, better book.
Welcome back. 65 degrees on our way to a high of about 92 or 93. Upper 90s expected Wednesday and Thursday. It's going to be hot. Let's talk sports. After a much-needed day off Monday, it's back to work for the Wenatchee Apple Sox. They got West Coast League play tonight. Port Angeles, the Lefties, are in town. Wenatchee's trying to snap a 5-game losing streak tonight when the two teams meet. After winning their opener in league play against Victoria, the Apple Sox lost the series to the Harbor Cats, and then over the weekend, they were swept by Yakima Valley. Starting for Wenatchee tonight, 6'6" sophomore from Pomona Pitzer College. His name is Ryan Long, and he's pretty good. He pitched 6 innings in his debut last week in that 7-4 win over Victoria. He allowed 1 earned run, 2 hits, and 7 strikeouts. The Lefties come to town with a 4-2 mark after taking 2 of 3 from Bellingham in Port Angeles over the weekend. Their scheduled starter, Frank Scalzo, just pitched the final 2 innings against the Bells on Sunday. First pitch tonight, 6:35, Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. If you can't make it, you can listen to it with our friend Joel Norman on Sunny FM. Speaking of the Apple Sox, check this out.
Play ball!
Wenatchee Apple Sox baseball is on the NCW Life channel. Join us live for play-by-play coverage of the Apple Sox Saturday as they host the Walla Walla Sweets from Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. Pre-game takes the air at 6:15 with the first pitch at 6:35. It's the Sweets and Apple Sox as we celebrate summer 1 inning at a time, live on your local TV station, NCW Life channel.
That's right. We're getting ready for it. We are busily preparing for our first ever Apple Sox telecast right here on the NCW Life channel. Check out this picture. There's Eric, our very own Eric Granstrom, testing out the brand new platform he built over the weekend for our center field cameras. Now, keep in mind, Eric weighs about 135 pounds, so I think that'll do it. We also, Eric also built a platform that's going to go on top of the third base dugout, so Eric and our camera operator can stand on that during the games. And all, we're going to broadcast 4 Apple Sox games this summer. In fact, here's the schedule. Again, Saturday, we'll be broadcasting the Wenatchee Walla Walla game. We got 2 games coming up in July. We'll broadcast the Bellingham Bells in town on the 13th, and then the Portland Pickles on the 27th. Then we'll bring you the Yakima Valley Pippins at Wenatchee on Saturday, August 7th. Pre-game shows start about 6:15, first pitch at 6:35. I cannot wait. There are only 2 other games on the slate tonight, by the way, in West Coast League baseball besides the lefties and the Apple Sox. Bellingham will host Cowlitz at 6:35. Ridgefield, the new franchise, travels to Portland. They'll take on the Pickles at 7:05. The Mariners begin a 3-game series in Minnesota today, taking on the Twins. Seattle coming off their first series win since mid-May last weekend. They took 2 of 3 from the Angels, but it's been a rough season for the M's. Of course, the defense is just awful. They're young, they're inexperienced, they got pitching problems, and they're 28-41. They're dead last in the American League West. Minnesota, meanwhile, is having a great season. The Twins lead the American League Central. They're 43-21. They got the 3rd best record in all of baseball, behind only the Dodgers and the Astros. Minnesota is also right behind Seattle in team home runs. They got 125. The Mariners have 126. That leads all of baseball. Yet the Mariners are the only team in the top 5 in home runs that don't lead their division. Seattle goes with Mike Leake today against Minnesota, who's coming off a complete game 14-1 win over Houston. The Twins will counter with Martin Perez, who's 7-2 with a 3.72 ERA. First pitch at Target Field, 5:10. The Mariners were off, by the way, yesterday, of course. 3 other American League teams, however, did play. Elvis Andrus, he had an RBI base hit in the top of the 11th. That gave Texas a 4-3 win at Boston. Charlie Morton pitched 7 shutout innings. Brandon Lowe had a 2-run home run. Tampa Bay stopped Oakland 6-2. And in the Battle of Los Angeles, California, Mike Trout hit a game-tying 2-run home run in the 7th. And Shohei Ohtani scored the go-ahead run in the 8th. The Angels beat the Dodgers 5-3. So Houston's lead in the West is 9 games over Texas. The Mariners, 18 games off the pace. So let's talk Seahawks. They start their minicamp today at the VMAC in Renton. After 2 sets of OTAs in the past month, this 5-day minicamp serves as the finale before training camp formally starts. That's in late July. We're just 58 days away from Seattle's first preseason game. It's at CenturyLink Field against Denver. 89 more days before they take on Cincinnati in the season opener. And those are just some of the games that people are playing. On this Tuesday at 22 minutes after the hour, the obscure holiday of the day today, Corn on the Cob Day. I love corn on the cob. It is an extremely popular summer dish. It's cheap. Corn is everywhere. Of course, the corn cob is the central woody part of the maize. The corn grains are attached. In fact, the corn cob is part of the corn plant's flower, and the individual kernels are actually the seeds of the plant. I didn't know that until I looked that up on the internet. Corn, or maize, is an ancient plant. It's native to the Americas. It really caught fire when it was first cultivated formally in Mexico, and then it basically spread all over the world. Quick heads up on National Corn on the Cob Day. First of all, enjoy it. Nothing like corn on the cob with butter and salt. Oh, it's so good. But they say never serve corn on the cob at a formal occasion because corn on the cob has a tendency to get messy. You know, the kernels get stuck in your teeth and you slobber all over yourself. And so you're never supposed to serve corn on the cob at a formal dinner. And if you do, you're not supposed to attack the corn on the cob like I do. National Corn on the Cob Day. I want some right now. Let's do Today in History, shall we? It is the 11th day of June, 2019, and 243 years ago, here's the deal. The Continental Congress getting together in Philadelphia say, okay, we want to divorce King George. We want out. We want to do our own country. We probably should write down our grievances, if you will. So they appointed what they called the Committee of Five to write the Declaration of Independence. They were Bob Livingston, Roger Sherman, Ben Franklin, John Adams, and old TJ himself, Thomas Jefferson. The group of 5 got together, and then the 5 of them said, TJ, why don't you do most of the writing? We'll check for spelling errors and stuff. Most of the Declaration of Independence was written by Thomas Jefferson, but 4 others played a significant role, and they got together and started writing on this date 243 years ago. This is the 100th anniversary. 100 years ago today, Sir Martin easily wins the Belmont, and by doing that, Sir Martin became the first horse to win the Triple Crown. The Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, and of course, the Belmont. Growing up in the 1970s, they seemed to have a Triple Crown winner every year. They had Secretariat in 73, and then Seattle Slew in 77, and Affirmed in 78. It seemed like there was, it happened every year. And then it didn't happen for 30 years or longer than that before they finally happened a couple of years ago. Sir Martin won the very first Triple Crown on this date 100 years ago today. Speaking of sports, this is the 64th anniversary of the worst automobile accident in motorsports history. 83 spectators killed, 100 injured. An Austin Healey and a Mercedes-Benz collided during the 24 hours of Le Mans. One of the cars went up into the crowd and killed a whole bunch of people. The worst motorsports accident ever, with 83 spectators losing their lives. Happened on this day, June 11th, 1955 at Le Mans. And finally, June 11th, 1962. Have you seen these guys? They're wanted. The Anglin brothers, John and Clarence, and their buddy Frank Morris, escaped from Alcatraz. So goes the urban legend. 57 years ago today, I think we've all seen the movie Escape from Alcatraz, the Clint Eastwood movie, which takes liberties. But Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin got off the island, that much we know. Whether they actually escaped has never really been determined. The official line is that they drowned in San Francisco Bay, but the United States Marshals still has the file open. So, by the way, Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin are still alive. They would be in their late 80s or early 90s, but the famous escape from Alcatraz, I like to think they made it out. Finally, we got some birthdays. 3 historic birthdays. We're all over the board on birthdays today. Jeanette Rankin was born in this state in 1880, passed away at the age of 92 in 1973. Her claim to fame, she was the first woman ever to hold federal office in the United States. She was elected to the United States Congress from Montana's 1st District. She remains, as a matter of fact, the only woman Montana has ever elected to Congress. Jeanette Rankin voted against declaring war against Germany in World War I. She said, no, I don't want to go to war. And after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941, she voted against declaring war against Japan. The only one who didn't. The legendary Jeanette Rankin, born in the state in 1880. Vince Lombardi, considered by many the greatest coach, period, of any sport at any time, was born in the state in 1913. Of course, he won 5 NFL championships in 7 years with the Green Bay Packers, including the first 2 Super Bowls. The Super Bowl trophy, of course, is named the Vince Lombardi Trophy. He died very young. He was only 57 when he died in 1970. Vince Lombardi, born in the state in 1913. We miss Gene Wilder. We really do. He was born in the state in 1933. Died of Alzheimer's 3 years ago at the age of 83. First claim to fame. He was a hostage in Bonnie and Clyde, but if you blink, you miss that scene. Then the producers, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, Silver Streak, the great movies that he did with Richard Pryor, the great Gene Wilder, born in the state in 1933, and Joe Montana. 63 years old today. He won the 1977 National Championship as a quarterback of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, was drafted by San Francisco, won 4 Super Bowl championships with the 49ers, the first player to win the Super Bowl MVP 3 times, and this most remarkable Super Bowl record of all. He threw 122 passes in 4 Super Bowl games and never threw an interception. And he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the year 2000. Happy 63rd birthday, Joe Montana. Just about the bottom of the hour, going to take a break. Everybody is entitled to Mike McNally's opinion. And then my conversation with Chuck Egner. We're talking bluegrass music. It's going to be floating all over the air in beautiful Cashmere this weekend. My talk with Chuck Egner coming up. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley Tuesday edition on the NCW Life channel.
At Doghouse Motorsports, we ride what we sell. There's a lot we could say about the CD Spark and the CD GTI, but ultimately, the ride says it all.
If you're stuck trying to find the perfect beer for you, look no further than Badger Mountain Brewing. We specialize in creating tantalizing craft beers that will soothe any picky taste buds and will satisfy your cravings. Check out everything from our amazing honey blonde that will appease even the most finicky taster, or a delicious frothy stout for dark beer lovers. Experience them all at Badger Mountain Brewing.
Transform your windows with a variety of colors and styles like the Allure Transitional Window Covering by Lafayette Interior Fashions. Hi, this is Darren with Mini Blinds and More. We can install the latest and greatest in technology to open and close your blinds with only a touch of a button. From the largest windows in your home to room darkening shades for the bedroom. From stylish shades for your entertainment room to custom blinds for those hard-to-fit places, we have a solution for all of your window covering needs. We offer a variety of window coverings from Lafayette Interior Fashions. Call us today. We are Mini Blinds and More, your local blind store.
How much are you paying for adult, family, or assisted living? Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living offers one-bedroom apartments for one affordable price. Their rates are all-inclusive. No nickel or diming or sudden increases, just one set price. You or your loved one will receive good food and excellent care in a relaxed, home-like environment. Stop on by for a tour to see if the Epladolin family is the right choice for you.
Family-owned and operated Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living in Cashmere. Affordable care.
Highlander Grill and Golf Course is known as one of the finest wedding venues in the Wenatchee area. You do not have to be a member to come to Highlander. Highlander Golf Course offers a first-class backdrop for your wedding day. Our friendly professional staff will ensure your wedding and reception is picture perfect, from every moment leading up to the I-dos to when the lights go down at the end of your reception. Hi, I'm Shalane, site coordinator for Highlander Grill. Give me a call to schedule your event today.
Contractors, furniture makers, and weekend do-it-yourselfers around north central Washington will tell you that Lombard's Hardwood Supply is the place to get what you need. Lombard's full millwork shop can handle jobs large or small. Lombard's has a full line of interior and exterior doors available, as well as custom barn doors. From alderwood to zebrawood and everything in between, it's Lombard's Hardwood Supply on School Street in Sunny Slope. Like us on Facebook and check out our monthly special.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, I recently read a book, Psycho USA by Harold Schechter. Now, this book discusses real but little known American serial killers from the period of 1782 to 1961. Now, although the term serial killer didn't come into vogue until the 1960s, Schechter presents case after case, which shows that serial killers have been a part of American society since the beginning of the society. Schechter suggests that also firearms have made murder of multiple individuals more efficient. Serial killers of our past have simply used the current technology of their time, such as hatchets, which seem to have been very popular, to commit their multiple murders. Schechter also argues convincingly that individuals committing these acts were what is responsible for the crimes they committed, that they were responsible for the crimes they committed, not the tools they use. And I have to say I agree as best as possible. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Here at the YWCA Thrift Store, our mission is to make positive change in the community by giving women and families the tools they need to regain economic stability through work experience and education. Featuring generously donated new and gently used furniture, housewares, clothing, and much more, the YWCA Thrift Store has something for the whole family. Shop, volunteer, or donate with us today.
I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, and this is Guada TV. Every week we will be bringing you a first look at North Central Washington business, tech, and education news. You'll hear from local influencers and innovators who live right here in the Valley. Together, we'll discuss hot topics, current events, and resources that can support your business, our schools, and this community. Join me every week, and let's get inspired.
Did you know that nearly 50% of pet poisoning cases involve human medications and prescription drugs? Sometimes the culprit's a curious dog, but cats get into their share of trouble as well. Other times, pet owners mistakenly give their pets their own medications that are safe to people but toxic to their pets. Dr. Shauna Bayes and her staff care about your pets. Go to pawsandclawsvh.com for a complete list of medications to avoid or call 888-PAWS.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
Welcome back to Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. 17 years ago, a bunch of bluegrass enthusiasts from all over North Central Washington said, let's have a party, and let's invite everybody, and let's see what happens. Well, by golly, it worked, so they did it again and again and again and again, and here it is now 17 years later. It is one of the cultural events on the calendar every year. It's huge. One of the best bluegrass festivals to be found anywhere. I don't just mean by size, I mean by quality of entertainment. He's back again this year to talk about it. From the Wenatchee River Bluegrass Festival, Chuck Egner has returned. How are you, Chuck?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's good to see you again. You ready to go for the 14th, 15th, and 16th?
I hope so. The dates roll up on you pretty quick when you get to this stage.
How did you, right off the top, by the way, Chuck is the entertainment quality control guy and vice president of the board. How do you get the kind of talent that you get from all over the country to come to little old Kashmir for a weekend and play? How do you do it?
Well, it's a fairly small community in the bigger picture of things, and people talk at the big festivals back east, and they say, hey, have you heard about this one over here? One of our attractions, besides the fact that people are really into bluegrass out here and are basically starved for it, so it goes over real well. But we have the only, as far as I know, the only indoor performance venue in the state of Washington for a summer festival. Wintergrass is indoors, but that's in the wintertime. All the rest of them have outdoor stages, and you know, it can be hot, it can be cold, it can be rainy.
You're taking your chances.
And we've got a building that about 8 or 9 years ago, we actually got HVAC in it. For the first 10 years or so, there was no air conditioning, but now there's air conditioning in there. So it's an ideal place. And the audience is not talking and yakking, they're there to see the music. Back east, there's so many festivals that it's just not a special thing anymore. And out here, there's so few that it is a special thing.
It is a special thing, or they wouldn't have done 16 of them. Highly successful. Are you the guy who's basically in charge of booking the acts, Chuck, or do you work with some other people?
So we have a board and we have a gong show. And then we come up with a list of who we'd like, and then from that point I take it and okay, we can't get this guy for this reason, we can't get this for this reason, and go down the line, and I do all the contracts and make the deals and get them set up in hotels, and then we've got our bean counter, Bill Dobbins. He handled sending letters out, welcoming letters, giving their free passes for the guests and things like that. Tells them where they have workshops to do. Most of the bands are contractually obligated to provide people for workshops on Saturday mornings. So, but yeah, I just work with getting the bands. But we've got a 9-person board,
so that helps.
It helps. We were at 7 or 8 people for a couple of years, but now we're at full strength.
And you need all 9 of them. You probably need 20.
Yeah. We definitely need 9 to distribute the work out a little bit.
But as you mentioned before, the word is out in the bluegrass community, not in the Pacific Northwest, but all over the place. That this is the kind of place that you want to be if you're a first-class bluegrass musician, because people are going to sit there and enjoy what you do.
Yeah, and the interesting thing this year is it varies from year to year, but we've got 4 bands that's never been seen in this area. Michael Cleveland and Flamekeeper never played at our festival. Mile 12. Most people haven't heard of them. They're very young people. They're from the Boston and New York area. Haven't been here. Modern Tradition, although one of their players has been here many, many times, the rest of the band has never seen the Northwest. And so this is their first Northwest tour. And then we've got a band from over in the Everett area that's coming over to play the gospel show, and they're new. So we've got a bunch of new faces.
How do you decide who plays when, as far as because that's always a big thing. I want top billing, Chuck, or I won't come. Does that happen, or? I mean, how do you decide who plays when, I guess?
How much we pay them. The big check gets the last spot.
The last spot on Saturday night,
it
right?
pretty much goes like that, yeah.
So.
And there is some movement within that. One of the bands has to get a flight out at midnight at SeaTac, and they would normally be the second to the last band. They're going to go earlier in the evening so that they can make their flight. They're part of a bluegrass workshop back in North Carolina, and they've got to be back there. So
16 years ago, 17 years ago now, do the people who put this thing together have any idea it was going to become what it is now? I mean, what an event this is.
No, we never thought. We didn't know if we could pay the bands the first year, and they were only regional bands, so the band bill was nowhere near what it is now, but we didn't know how we were going to pay them. And my wife and I just privately said, we'll just write a check, if it came down to it. And we didn't need to. Somehow we scraped together enough money from the thing. And in the early days, we didn't rent the entire fairgrounds, so the cost of that was much less at that time. By the third or fourth year, we had to rent the entire fairgrounds. And it was okay because we had to rent it because there was that many people there.
Sure.
So it was, in the beginning, we had no idea it was going to continue like this.
But it is, and it's so much fun. It is so much fun. We got some videos we're going to show you, give you a little taste of what to expect, and we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the bread and butter things that you need to know about as far as tickets and dates and all that other stuff. You want to start with Modern Tradition, a little video from them?
Yes.
Talk a little bit about them.
Modern Tradition is, they're based back east, but the guitar player and lead singer, his father and I met when the kid was 8 years old, and we were at Wintergrass, and the father said, I think my kid's got talent. I don't know, but I think he's got talent. Could I bring him to your studio and let's record him and see what you think? And it took a year and a half to get it together, and finally the kid was almost 10 years old. And back then he was really small for his age. His good buddy that's from Kashmir here, Jake Monroe, was about 1.5 feet taller than him back in those days. Now they're both 6 foot plus. But anyway, they brought the kid over. Turns out he was immensely talented, and I could tell it in 5 minutes. And so they did record an album, a family album, and it's kind of like a musical version of a photographic album. It just tells you where they were when they were that age.
Sure.
And the other kids were talented, but this one kid was extraordinarily talented. And I remember a song that took me 2 weeks to learn of intense practice. In one afternoon, he had it where he could play variations and play circles around me. And he was about 13 or 14 then, and that's when I knew he'd make his living in music. So he went off to college and met the kids that he's with now. And he's in a couple of regional bands here that he plays with when he can, but this is a national band. And so anyway.
So here's a little video of Modern Tradition. You folks at home, please use your televisions. Chuck, use the monitor here in the studio. Let's take a look. Good stuff from Modern Tradition. We got a couple more videos to show you. And you talk about you knew this kid was talent from the get-go, and now he has a group of his own. And he's making a name for himself in the bluegrass world. A lot of this is connecting the generations, isn't it? Bluegrass music as a genre goes from grandma and grandpa to dad to the next gen. I mean, that's really the core of the group. The core of the music is that it passes down from generation to generation. People love it.
Yeah, so that young man and several others that are in his age group were teenage instructors at our Taylor's Camp, which is a kids camp for bluegrass that we've had for some years now. And one thing we did while those guys were in high school is we thought they're going to be going off to college, and we want them to still come back to this thing. Mm-hmm. So we came up with two things. One is we came up with a scholarship plan, and then we went out to some of the people in the real big campers.
They're really nice ones.
And we asked for some donations, and the money came in, and we were able to offer college scholarships. So $1,500 or so for a kid, and we give anywhere from 3 to 5 of those away a year. The other thing is we paid them enough money to come and do Taylor's Camp, And most of them would do it for volunteering, but what we wanted to do was not have them say, hey, I got a gig and I'm getting $500 to play over here that weekend. We wanted them to make enough money to where this was as good as a gig. And so we've gotten great instructors out of the deal. Zach Top is that young man, and he has been involved in it from the get-go. And his sister's been involved, his brother's been involved, their friends have been involved.
Again, family. It comes back to family.
Yeah, one of the best friends of one of your employees here has been involved since day one.
Yep. Talk about Jeff Scroggins before we play his video.
Jeff Scroggins chased us down.
Well, that's a kind of a good problem to have.
Well, it was weird because we kind of blew him off because he was from Colorado and he wanted to come play our coffee house, and we thought it's a long distance to come for a hat pass type situation. And about 4 years ago at Wintergrass, he calls me on my cell phone. He got my cell phone number somehow, and he said, we're in the hotel. We came out on our own dime. We'd love to just meet you and talk to you. And he and his guitar player came down to my hotel room, and they picked up a guitar and a banjo. And as soon as they were about 4 bars into it, I called Marie, our president, up, said, Marie, you got to get down here and listen to this. And we gathered up a few board members, and we were just blown away by him.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally on the spot, we hired him for the festival the next year. And that was about 3 or 4 years ago now. And anyway, he's an outstanding banjo player. The mandolin player is his son, gifted beyond words. The fiddle player in the band is from Oregon, and she was a kid in a family band that played at our very first festival 17 years ago, and now she's back on the main stage.
Jeff Scroggins, once again, Chuck, I'm going to ask you to use the monitor here in the studio, and you folks at home, please use your TVs.
Hey, Porter, would you tell me the time? How much longer will it be till we cross that Mason-Dixon line? At the line, would you tell that engineer to slow her down? Or better still, just stop the train, 'cause I want to look around. Hey, Porter, what time did they say? How much longer will it be till I can see the light of day? When we hit Dixie, would you tell that engineer to ring his bell? And ask everybody that ain't asleep, and right up again.
Good stuff there. You might have noticed, as Chuck and I were talking off camera there, they seem to be having a really good time. That's the one thing you notice about bluegrass bands. They're up there and they're 4-8 bars into their number, and they're just smiling and grinning and having a good time.
Yeah, they use a single mic technique there where they've got more than one mic, but it's called single mic because there's a central mic and the vocalists come together for that. So, you know, it's kind of fun. I mean, especially when you got somebody that can harmonize really nicely.
And it's funny you bring that up because, as we mentioned before, that the Chelan County Fairgrounds, but they're in the Exposition Center, the big covered building. Really good acoustics in there, really good acoustics, which is important.
Yeah, we pay a lot of money for our sound guys. Actually, there's a guy that runs the monitor board up by the stage, and then a guy out in the audience, but it's worth it. You gotta have good sound.
This is really worth it. Chuck comes in, he talks about this group called Mile 12. And as you well know by now, the Elton John biopic Rocket Man came out on the 31st of May, getting rave reviews. And Chuck says, these guys played my house last year, and they did a bluegrass version of Rocket Man. Now, the song Rocket Man by Elton John, of course, is very lush with lots of production values and strings and orchestras. And I thought, how can that possibly translate from the Elton John original song from 1972 to a bluegrass song? But Mile 12 pulled it off. Before we play the video, we're going to play a couple minutes of this. Talk about Mile 12.
Well, they were all last year under 25 years old, so now they're all under 26 years old. All 5 of them have college degrees in music. Totally unusual in bluegrass. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, bluegrass musicians, a lot of them didn't read. Right. And now to have five of them, Berklee School of Music, a couple of them, Boston College, Clemson, and NYU. The banjo player is from New Zealand. She came over as a teenager because she wanted to play bluegrass banjo. She grew up hearing it in New Zealand, and she just lit out and is a fabulous player, and I love her accent. They let her talk a bit. It's really great. The singer is from Boston, has no Boston accent.
You don't normally associate, and I don't mean to interrupt, Chuck, but you don't normally associate bluegrass music with the northeastern corridor of this country.
Right, it's more folkish back there. But
yeah.
but there was a band, we lived back there a few years back in the 80s, and there was a guy named Joe Val that had a band that was based in Vermont or New Hampshire, somewhere up there. And they were like it. There was nobody else. And that's kind of changing. You know, bluegrass is getting more and more spread out. And because of the social media and things like that, it's more accessible. But the singer is a good singer, very good singer. He's a good guitar player. And they're all just really nice kids.
We're going to play about 2 minutes of this video. This is going to blow you away. This is Mile 12 doing their rendition of the Elton John classic Rocket Man. Check it out.
She packed my bags last night, pre-flight, 0 hour, 9 a.m. And I'm gonna be high as a kite by then. I miss the earth so much, I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space on such a timeless flight. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm a rocket man, burning out his fears up here alone. Mars ain't the kind of place to raise your kids. In fact, it's cold as hell, and there's no one there to raise them if you did. And all the science I don't understand, it's just my job 5 days a week. A rocket man.
Wow, very faithful to the original composition, the original arrangements. Even the tempo is exactly the same, and yet it's all acoustic instruments. I think Elton would be very proud of that.
When they did it at my place, when they built that crescendo when the first vocals came in, I got goosebumps.
Yeah, I just did too.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I thought maybe I have jaundice, but that's not the case at all.
Could be that too.
Yeah. Chuck, we're almost out of time. Let's get right to the meat and potatoes. Give me dates and times, tickets, everything that people want to know, because they're going to want to be at the Chelan County Fairgrounds on the 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Yes, the 14th is a Friday, and the shows start at about 4 o'clock. There's activities earlier in the day. There's a slow jam. There's a meet and greet the day before, actually, on Thursday. There's a band scramble, which is you put your name in a hat and your instrument, and people pull it out, and you wind up in a 5-piece band with people you never met, perhaps. And you get stage time on the outdoor stage. So that's pretty cool. So at 4 o'clock, though, the main shows start. Modern Tradition will kick off the festival at 4 o'clock. Then Ned Crisp and Bottom Line, Jeff Scroggins in Colorado, Mile 12 and Michael Cleveland, and it'll be somewhat similar to that on Saturday. Saturday during the day, though, we have Taylor's Camp, the kids' camp. They'll be practicing all morning, and in the afternoon they'll be putting a show on. It's at 12:15 on an outdoor stage. They have a nice sound system, and it's really cool. I mean, some of the kids are teenagers and they're fairly accomplished, and some of them are, you know, their head wouldn't reach the top of the table. And it's pretty cool. I've got a grandkid that's been in it for 3 years, and he loves it. He hadn't progressed as far as I'd like musically, but he's made a lot of friends.
That's good.
And actually, his dad is telling me that he's actually been practicing this year, so that's good. So we have that, and then there's a gospel show on Sunday. It costs $25 if you want to come to Friday or Saturday night. $10 just for the gospel show. $35 will get you the whole weekend, in and out, do everything. There's some great jamming in the campground area. In order to go in the campground area, you have to have a wristband, which means you have to have bought ticket to go to the shows. Camping, I believe, is $20 a night. And
It's first come, first serve, and if you need the full hookups, you better get right on it, right? Because it's what, 135?
135 hookups, I believe, and
they could all be gone by.
They can all be gone by Wednesday night or Thursday.
Yeah,
we have to reserve some for the Taylor's Camp and some for the bands and things like that. Most of the bands stay in hotels, but some stay there. But in any event, get there as early in the week as you can. Some people come and just drop their camper and get a spot, and then they go back and do their job. I mean, we have people that drive all the way over from Seattle to drop a camper.
Yeah, people come from all over the Pacific Northwest to be, and even farther than that to do this.
Yeah, we had about 4 years ago, we had a couple that came from Tel Aviv, Israel, specifically for our festival.
I'm not going to spend 3 days, and I love my friends at the Kashmir at the fairgrounds, without eating and drinking. So you going to feed me and have beverages and stuff like that?
We have food vendors, numerous food vendors. We have anywhere from Italian sausages to heroes, things like that. There's popcorn, coffee, mochas. There's some trinket type sales and things like that. So there's food, and indoor venue. So if the weather's bad, don't worry about it.
Yep.
Plenty of parking. They open up the parking across the street from the grounds, and there's plenty of room in there. So
yeah, don't worry about that. I mean, if you they won't turn you away. Let's just put it that way.
That's exactly
If you want to
right.
come and enjoy it, you can come and enjoy it. You're best off just forking over the $35. You can come and go as you please, any show you want. Everything that we just talked about is on the Kashmir Coffee House website, KashmirCoffeehouse.com, and from there they'll take you the lineup, the tickets, all the information, everything you need to know. In fact, let me go ahead. Anyway, it's all right there. Plus, you get to see a picture of Chuck when he was just a kid. You've aged all right. You really have, all things considered.
I'm amazed I'm still here.
Yeah. Chuck, it's always great to see you. Last year when he came by and paid me a visit to talk about this, he brought me a bottle of wine.
I did.
Did you just forget it?
No, it's in the truck.
Okay.
I didn't want to get mobbed when I came through the lobby.
Chuck Egner for the Wenatchee River Bluegrass Festival. Enjoy North Central Washington. You don't get talent like this coming into our neck of the woods on a regular basis, except just about the middle of June every year. Chuck, it's good to see you, my friend.
Thanks, Dan.
Anytime. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
Corey here from Rose Tractor, your local Cub Cadet dealer. We've got the all-new Cub Cadet Ultima zero-turn mowers in stock, and they are awesome. The Ultima is like no other zero-turn you've seen. With a box tube frame and available Kawasaki engine, it has unmatched strength and performance, cutting up to 50% faster than lawn tractors. You have to see the Cub Cadet Ultima to believe it. Come on down and experience the Cub Cadet Ultima today.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
There's a little girl fell in the lake in Block Island.
And how old is she?
I don't know. It's just a little girl with her brother.
And they're saying that they can't get to her?
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, this Tuesday show is almost in the books. Before we cut you loose and send you on down the road for this 11th day of June, one more time, let's take a look at the weather forecast from the National Weather Service. And boy, fire up the AC, because here we go, folks. For the record, our record high for today, June 11th, 93 degrees. We set that back in 1986, so we could kiss that record. It's possible today. Now, the record for June 12th, tomorrow, is 94 degrees. That was set back in 1974, so we have a very good chance of breaking that record tomorrow. And the record for Thursday, as you see there, is 95, and that's our forecast high for Thursday, 95 degrees. Big dome of high pressure is going to be centered right over the Cascades, going to make things very hot. However, that upper ridge is going to flatten a little bit on Thursday morning, and by Thursday afternoon, what that means is that a short wave of energy is going to be able to pass through the region, and that means we are expecting windy conditions, especially Thursday afternoon. We could see gusts around 30 miles an hour on Thursday. The combination of very hot temperatures, very low relative humidity, and very windy conditions on Thursday is a bad mix. We may even have a red flag warning issued by the National Weather Service. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that happens, because that's the recipe. Low relative humidity, strong winds, hot temperatures. Keep your fingers crossed. Try and stay cool. And provided this show isn't canceled, I'll see you Wednesday. Have a great Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.